Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the 1000-01-13-130. This is a replacement turn without an escutcheon, and turns without escutcheons are meant to go onto something. They'll have a Timon nut, I think is the name of this nut, a Timon nut. Yeah, let's take a look. So the entire part number conspires to mean a number of things, and we're going to address all of those. This is a simple teardrop shaped sort of handle from Adams Rite, okay? Nothing super unusual about that. It's going to include a plastic washer. It's going to include its tailpiece, and it will include what I'm calling the Timon nut. It's a push nut or a Timon nut. These are very tenacious items. When you get them pushed down, they have a tendency to stay put, that's for sure. So this is a turn that you're going to use with a typical Adams Rite style 5017 or an MS 1847 sliding door lock. So they have lock bodies. As a matter of fact, I happen to have one coincidentally here. I'm not sure of the exact derivative part number of this. It's an MS 1847-10, but the orientation of the drive, I'm unsure of what that part. I'd have to look it up in the book, is what I'm saying. So this turn is meant to operate a lock like this. Okay, so you'll have trim, you'll have cylinder trim, you'll have thumb turn trim with and without escutcheons. And this part number means both the orientation of the tailpiece, which in this case they call parallel drive. Okay, I'm going to say that tailpiece goes inside of there. And then that washer is going to go down next, and then then that operation will go through the door, and then your Timon nut, your push nut, will come and finish the job. Okay, and it will obviously push down through. I'd have to force that on to push it in. The length of the spindle is also inferred directly in the part number as well. It tells us what that part number is. So the best thing to do, we've talked about, the thumb turn. The best thing to do is to switch to the screen view so we can take a look at not only the extended description, but the supporting documentation as well. So here is the item that we're looking at. Lots of detail down below, because what we do is we dissect this part number to understand what we're dealing with. 1000-0102 are without escutcheon. That's likely going to mean parallel or perpendicular drive, which it does. Designed for easy push nut mounting to door, pull, or other trim plate. Now, the 13 in the part number, that's going... So it's a thumb turn. It is a parallel drive. It is a 13, and 13 means the length of the tailpiece that is included with this. That means that it's 43/64 in length. Okay, door thickness conspires to force you to define the length. The positioning of the lock body does the same. This is a 628 finish, or what they would call 130. It's a painted aluminum type, silver type color. Hardened steel. The first dash number in how to order indicates the spindle parallel or perpendicular to turn. Second dash number indicates the length of the tailpiece. Dark bronze, black, dark bronze, and aluminum are available. The availability of perpendicular and parallel drives in these turns, coupled with the 3 hub drive positions of the lock, provides several options. Choice of turn drive position relates directly to the particular lock hub drive position. Special care in specifying both the proper turn and lock in ordering is required. So what they're saying is you may have noticed that our lock, when I was looking at our lock, it had this, well, actually, the lock that I had on my desk is exactly the MS-1840-10, is exactly this part number. I had said that earlier. This would probably be an MS-1847-10-10. There's another 10 in there that means something else. And that is the relationship of where the hub is in terms of when the bolt is thrown and the location of the thumb turn, and when the bolt is retracted and the location of the thumb turn. So what that means, that you have to be quite mindful, because when you rotate your turn, you don't want it to rotate into such an area that you might have a conflict. Well, what if a stop was running down here and you couldn't actually turn it far enough to unlock? That's why they have these different, not only hub positions of the locks themselves, but parallel or perpendicular drive positions. You might want the thumb turn to be in some sort of position, locked and unlocked, otherwise. So they use the 3 hub positions and parallel or perpendicular drive to allow you to accommodate where do you want the thumb turn to be positioned in the locked position, and where do you want the thumb turn to be positioned in the unlocked position, is what this means. Now, supporting documentation. In no particular order, let's look at data sheet. This is the 1000 series turns, and this really talks about the important aspect of this. Okay, this you can read. This we've discussed. We're dealing with a 1000 series turn. The 1004, the 1015, those are alternative turns. So what's important to know is the availability of both perpendicular and parallel drives coupled with the hub positions provides several options. Choice of turn drive position relates directly to the particular lock hub drive position. Special care, we read that. Chart on the back page shows turn positions relative to lock hub positions. Broken line indicates direction of travel 45 degree to retract the bolt. So as we study this, the solid line is what it is when the bolt is thrown. Okay? The dotted line is what it looks like when the bolt is retracted. Okay? So using all of that, you can really put it all together. So this client ordered a parallel drive. They're going to have one of these 3 orientations. Okay? It's either going to be vertical, it's going to be slightly clockwise askew, or maybe 15 degree askew, maybe 45 degree askew from vertical, etc. Okay. Now, if you're ordering a perpendicular drive, you would want to use the proper part number when ordering the lock body. So now talking about the lock body, this is in particular, this part number is for the lock body itself. It's not the turn itself. We'll get to that. But you can see how the numbers change as the hub orientation, which will yield you the thumb turn position, will change. So that's important to know. The 1000-01 or 02 is either going to mean parallel or perpendicular drive. You want a escutcheon below it, it'll be an 11 or a 12. So that's pretty easy to understand. More dimensional properties that you can review of this item. They're showing the installation here. I believe that I had that quite certainly wrong with the location of the washer. Maybe I didn't. No, I didn't. I had it right. The spindle has to go in first, then that plastic washer goes on. All of that goes through the door, and then your Timon nut, your stop push nut, will come over it and finish off the installation. Just like they show here. Spindle first, washer, through the door, push nut. Now, that 13 in our part number, that's going to tell us the length of the spindle as defined from the outside of the door, you know, basically, how far does that thing need to stick into the door? They need to take the length of the tailpiece and the thickness of whatever you're putting it through into account. That's why they define L as this way. And this client needed a -13 or otherwise 43/64. Okay, so you can order this with or without an escutcheon, perpendicular or parallel. You have to select the length of the spindle, and then finally you have to select the finish that you want. Very simple and straightforward. This will operate that 5017 lock body, which is intended for a wood door installation, but that lock body uses the same thumb turn options. Let's take a look at the installation guide. Probably going to be a lot of duplicate information here, and it is indeed duplicate information. The how to order, again, that's going to be duplicate information. That's just a consolidated chart. A little bit easier to understand, but I would surmise that this chart is going to be mandatory when you are initially trying to wrap your head around, okay, what do I need to order? What do I start with? So all of those documents are important to have there. Okay. Speaking of important documents, let's click the link to the manufacturer's page here, where we can pull up not only all of the Adams Rite products that we sell, okay, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Let's open that, but before we go there, this link to the parts manual is very handy because it will show you a lot of options when it comes to this material. Okay, so this is not an absolute comprehensive offering of all published parts possibilities, but it has much of their product line in here. So this document is, you know, 73 pages of valuable information here. So let's switch over to the full product catalog and type in 5017, and that will get us to the series of dead latches. Now, this lock body is different than the MS 1847 because the MS 1847, while the turns are the same, if you'll notice these mounting tabs inherent in the MS 1847, you're not going to see those in the 5017 because this is meant for a wood door application, and this will be held through the wood door by whatever you're attaching through these holes that are here. So same accessory hardware that's going on, but different lock body depending on the application. Okay, let's finish up this video on camera. So the name Adams Rite is synonymous with many pieces of specialty hardware in the sense that who else makes a thumb turn like this for sliding patio doors made of aluminum or steel or wood or whatever it might be. The point is when you get into that full product catalog, if you know Adams Rite, you probably do for aluminum storefront hardware, hook bolts and deadbolts and latch bolts, but electric strikes and exit devices and a variety of specialty locks, not only the sliding material we just covered, but bottom rail deadbolts. Cylinder-operated flush bolts is a great example of something else that they do. Two-point, multi-point locking systems on their storefront hardware. So a variety of tools that you can implement to solve a problem. And Adams Rite is a unique company in that regard. Another thing that's, I'd like to say unique, although it's not unique, lots of companies, especially under the ASA Abloy umbrella that they are included under, provide very good technical support, but their technical support is responsive 100% of the time. You get a response, so they're in general very quite on the spot, accurate answers to your technical support questions, and good folks all around. So when it comes to Adams Rite material, if you're not familiar with it and you find yourself needing to find creative solutions, they will certainly be a go-to company for some of the things that you may not be so elegantly capable of providing material to solve. Any questions on the 1000-01-13-130 or any other Adams Rite product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.